The Gandhara civilization thrived in what is now northern Pakistan and Afghanistan, spanning from the middle of the 1st millennium BCE to the beginning of the 2nd millennium CE. While various powerful rulers held sway over this region during this period, a common thread emerged: a deep reverence for Buddhism and a shared artistic tradition inherited from the Indo-Greek influence following Alexander the Great's conquests in India. Although references to Gandhara date back to the time of Cyrus the Great in the Achaemenid Empire, around 550 to 530 BCE, it wasn't until the 7th century CE that a detailed geographical description emerged, thanks to the pilgrimage of Buddhist monk Xuanzang. He chronicled the region during its waning days, capturing its essence and cities as they succumbed to decline. Xuanzang's writings have provided valuable insights into the Gandhara civilization, helping identify its remains in modern times. Gandhara was speculated to be a roughly triangular expanse, about 100 kilometers from east to west and 70 kilometers from north to south. This area was primarily situated to the west of the Indus River, bordered to the north by the Hindu Kush mountains. The core of Gandhara encompassed the Peshawar Valley, along with the hills of Swat, Dir, Banna, and Bijaur, regions that currently reside within Pakistan's northern boundaries. Yet, the influence of Greater Gandhara extended to the Kabul Valley in Afghanistan and the Potwar Plateau in the Punjab province of Pakistan. There were times when its cultural and political dominance reached as far as Sindh, where remnants of a Buddhist city and stupa exist above the even more ancient Mohenjo-Daro. Notable cities within Gandhara included Taxila, Purashapura, Peshawar, and Pushkalavati, Mardan. These cities continue to yield archaeological discoveries, preserving the legacy of the Gandhara civilization to this day. The name Gandhara holds intriguing meanings, with a couple of prevailing theories. One theory suggests that it stems from the word Gand or Gand, meaning fragrance, and Har, meaning lands. Essentially, Gandhara could be translated as the land of fragrance. Another plausible theory links Kand/Gand to Kun, signifying a well or pool of water. This connection is supported by various place names featuring Gand, often related to water, like Gand-Au or Gand-Ab, pool of water, and Gand-Dairy, water mound. The name Tashkand, stone-walled pool, and Yarkand also bear similar associations. This suggests that Gandhara might have been known as the land of the lakes. This idea is strengthened by the Peshawar Valley's historical good drainage, giving it a lake-like appearance during the rainy season, with marshes that are now cultivated fields. Gandhara experienced a brief period of being part of the Achaemenid Empire, but Achaemenid rule was short-lived. Instead, it functioned as a tributary state, sending tributes and showing hospitality to Alexander the Great, who eventually conquered the region along with the rest of the Achaemenid Empire. This Achaemenid dominance in Gandhara persisted from the 6th century BCE to 327 BCE. Alexander's passage through Gandhara served as an entry point into Punjab proper. The ruler of Taxila, Raja Ombi, allied with Alexander against his rival, Raja Porus. The famous Battle of Hydaspes marked a pivotal moment in Alexander's Indian campaign. Despite his accomplishments, Alexander's stay in Gandhara was brief. He continued south through the Indus River, crossing into Yggdrasil, Balochistan, and onward into Persia, where his journey ultimately concluded. The legacy of Alexander's time in Gandhara left behind a significant Greek population. Soldiers, craftsmen, and other followers were encouraged to integrate into local communities through intermarriage, blending Greek and Indian cultures. However, when Alexander passed away in June 323 BCE, his Greek forces, eager to return home, embarked on their journey back. Those who chose to stay formed new families, eventually becoming more Indian than Greek, further enriching the diverse tapestry of Gandhara's history. Around 316 BCE, King Chandragupta of Magadha expanded his rule into the Indus Valley, incorporating Gandhara into his Mauryan Empire. Taxila was designated as a provincial capital under this new Mauryan administration. Following Chandragupta, his son Bindusara took the throne, succeeded later by his son Ashoka, who had previously governed Taxila. Ashoka, known for his transformation and patronage of Buddhism, played a pivotal role in the expansion of the religion. He constructed numerous monasteries and disseminated his ethical edicts across the Indian subcontinent. Among these, The Dharmarajika monastery near the Tamra River in Taxila stood out, housing a significant stupa and reportedly holding relics of Buddha. The stupas at Mankiyala and Sanchi are also attributed to this era. In 184 BCE, the Greeks from Bactria, modern northern Afghanistan, launched a renewed invasion of Gandhara, led by King Demetrius. Under his rule, a new city, Sirkap, emerged on the opposite bank of the river from Pier Mound. Sirkap was planned in a gridiron pattern, influenced by the Hippodamian plan. Demetrius's kingdom included Gandhara, Arakassia, modern Kandahar in Afghanistan, Punjab, and part of the Ganges Valley. This diverse society encompassed Greeks, Indians, Bactrians, and Western Iranians, as evidenced by various structures in 2nd century BC Taxila, including a Zoroastrian sanctuary at Jondiol north of Sirkap. Around 110 BCE, the nomadic Scythians from Central Asia began infiltrating Punjab, gradually gaining control. Previously limited by Achaemenid influence, they settled in Drangiana, modern Sistan in Iran, and expanded through the southern Indus Valley, eventually asserting their dominance over Taxila. In the first quarter of the 1st century CE, the Parthians took over Greek territories in Gandhara and Punjab. Gondophares, a Parthian leader residing in Taxila, is said to have been baptized by the Apostle Thomas, potentially plausible given Taxila's rich history of hosting diverse religious beliefs. This interaction indicates the city's multicultural nature and its capacity to embrace new faiths, even nearly 2,000 years ago. Around the 1st century CE, the Kushans, a tribe originating from Central Asia and Afghanistan, migrated to Gandhara. Peshawar became their capital, and they later expanded into India, forming the Kushan Empire, which lasted until the 3rd century CE. In 80 CE, they gained control over Gandhara from the Scytho-Parthians. The city of Taxila was re-established as Sursuk, characterized by a robust defensive wall, and it became a thriving center of Buddhism, drawing pilgrims from Central Asia and China. The Kushan period marked the pinnacle of Gandhara's art, architecture, and culture, often referred to as a golden age for the region. Renowned Greek philosopher Apollonius of Tyana compared the city of Taxila to Assyria's Nineveh. Taxila's layout featured narrow streets and houses that appeared single-storied externally but had subterranean chambers below. This era fostered prosperity and religious activity. As the Kushan rule waned, a series of short-lived dynasties succeeded them, including the Sasanian Empire, Kidarites, or Little Kushans, and White Huns. This period was marked by constant turmoil, invasions, and shifting power dynamics. In 241 CE, the Sasanians annexed Gandhara but struggled to govern it directly due to northwest pressures. Descendants of the Kushans, known as Kidarites or Kidar Kushans, controlled the region. By the middle of the 5th century CE, the White Huns, also called Hephthalites, invaded Gandhara. This invasion, combined with the pre-existing decline of Buddhism and Gandhara culture, caused significant destruction. The White Huns' adoption of the Shivite faith accelerated the decline of Buddhism. During this time, Gandhara's religious landscape transitioned towards Hinduism. The White Huns sought alliances with the Hindu Gupta Empire against the Sassanids, influencing the religious shift. As Buddhism's influence diminished, the cultural and religious character of the region transformed. Constant invasions from the West, especially Muslim conquest, further weakened the region. Over time, the remnants of the once thriving culture faded into obscurity. The ancient cities and significant places of worship gradually slipped from memory, staying hidden for nearly 1,500 years until colonial British explorers rediscovered them in the mid-1800s CE. Despite changing rulers over the centuries, Gandhara's cultural tradition remained remarkably consistent. Archaeological evidence reveals that even as different territories were governed by various powers, the cultural boundaries of regions like Mathura and Gandhara remained distinct and identifiable through countless artifacts. Gandharan art emerged around the 1st century BCE and encompassed a range of artistic expressions such as painting, sculpture, coins, and pottery. However, it truly flourished during the Kushan period, especially under the rule of King Kanishka in the 1st century CE. Kanishka is credited with introducing the image of the Buddha, a pivotal development that marked the second revival of Buddhism after Ashoka's time. The life story of the Buddha became the central theme in Gandharan art. Buddha images, varying from handheld figures to monumental statues in worship sites, were abundant throughout the region. This proliferation of Buddha representations aimed to propagate religious ideals. The religious focus was so pervasive that even everyday objects featured religious imagery. Two primary materials used in Gandharan art were Kanja stone, finished with plaster and paint, and schist stone. Kanja, a fossilized rock, could be easily shaped and was utilized as a base for decorative elements like pilasters, Buddha figures, and brackets. After shaping, the stone was plastered for a refined appearance. Some items were adorned with gold leaf and precious gems. Larger statues and reliefs were made from clay and stucco. These sculptures of the Buddha maintained a consistent style, depicting him in simple monastic robes, with the Ushnisha bun on his head and a content expression. While originally brightly painted, most items now remain in plaster or stone, with only a few retaining their original colors. Gandharan art featured a wide array of figures, including mythological beings, couples, deities, princes, and more. Among the enduring elements of this art tradition were the bodhisattvas, representing the Buddha's pre-enlightenment state. Various bodhisattvas from the Buddha's previous lives were depicted, each identifiable through distinct clothing, postures, and mudras, hand gestures. These figures exhibited a degree of luxury, displaying variations in jewelry, attire, and adornments. Gandharan art not only provided a visual representation of religious stories but also demonstrated the cultural continuity and evolution of the region over time. One of the most distinctive features of Gandharan architecture was the proliferation of stupas and related religious structures, such as monasteries, which played a central role in the region's identity for nearly a millennium. Stupas, circular structures, were built primarily to honor the remains of revered Buddhist figures, including the Buddha himself. Monks of high status were also honored with stupa construction, and these monuments marked locations associated with significant events from the Buddha's life. While the stupa's primary function was architectural, it also served as a canvas for Gandharan art, featuring sculptures, reliefs, paintings, and decorative elements that enhanced its religious significance. Originally, stupas had modest circular bases. However, as Buddhism's influence grew in Gandhara, these centers of worship were transformed into grand edifices adorned to elevate the stature of the religion and attract more worshippers. The earliest stupas, such as those at Kunala and Dharmarajika, were later expanded into larger structures by rulers like Ashoka and Kanishka. Stupas featured a circular or square base, medhi, supporting a drum or cylinder, on top of which rested a dome, and steps led to the platform for clockwise circumambulation around the dome along the processional path, Pradakshina enclosed by a railing, Vedika. Multiple circular stories could be added to raise the stupa's height. Lion capital pillars adorned the base corners, and atop the dome was a harmaka, an inverted square enclosure supporting the yasti or central pillar with chatras, parasols, of decreasing sizes distributed along it. The stupa's dome and walls were decorated with relief panels and friezes portraying religious narratives, reinforcing its significance. Besides religious buildings, Gandharan cities featured a range of civic architecture that evolved with the prevalent culture. From organic settlements like Pir to more structured layouts like Sursuk, cities varied in design. Streets, roads, shops, palaces, temples, and more formed the urban fabric. Despite the dominance of Buddhism, evidence suggests the coexistence of other faiths such as Jainism, Zoroastrianism, and early Hinduism. Notably, the double-headed eagle stupa in Sirkap displayed a mix of cultural influences, featuring motifs from Greek, Persian, and Indian architectural styles, highlighting the cultural fusion evident in archaeological remains.